So today we've got an exciting guest. We've got Levi, who teaches contractors how to run their business with less stress and more success with systems to get control of your business and grow the right way. Check out Al's book and online programs covering operating manuals and staffing systems at the 7 Power Contractor today. And guys, without further ado, we've got Levi. Welcome, Al.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed the accent. I'm sure it's pretty funny to you guys that are listening. But actually, believe it or not, I am from New York City. And anybody who would know that is my accent. But it's actually tame because it used to be, hey, you.
So very direct, right?
I learned how to speak better English. Having said that, I really was a contractor, just like yourself. I was third generation in our plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical company. And I'm happy to say now it's on to the fourth generation. My nephew is there with my middle brother. And that takes systems to be able to pass from one generation to another. And that's really what we're focused on. And Spyro knows because he was in these programs and what it can do. But we're not here to sell you anything. Today, I really want to focus on educating you guys because I know what it's like to be a contractor. And all I can say is I feel very bad for you.
Especially if you don't have systems.
Especially if you don't have systems. You know, every day we were literally a 24/7, 365 business. A lot of people say, oh, that I'm that. They're not. We answered our phones around the clock. We had people on shifts from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., 8 to 5, 10 to 7 p.m., and 2 to 11 p.m. We're not people on call. They were out on shifts. And so we really felt a lot of pressure because we not only did all those 4 trades, we did residential, commercial, and industrial. So we knew how to operate in all of those things. And the good news is we made a lot of money, but there's a thing that Spyro knows. I had a lot of stress. So you might be saying, what's a lot of stress? Well, I'm 50 pounds less than I was throughout my career because I was eating my stress. And listen, we all have our addictions and what things happen. But, you know, this business, the staff, the customers, the training, all these things, if you don't get out in front of it, that's the lesson I learned.
Yeah.
You're going to get run over by it. And here's like if you've ever watched a cartoon is, you're going to get flattened by the truck and then you're going to peel yourself off the sidewalk and the next truck is going to plow right over you. So I'm imploring you to pull up for a second and get yourself dusted off and get a plan together where you can get systems in place and make your life better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for those that don't know, Al is one of my mentors and forever grateful for all your great work, Al, that you've helped us with in my electrical business. And I remember when we first approached your training, I was on the phones nonstop, just putting out fires each and every day. And our technicians, right, were saying, well, what should we have? You should have that in the truck. They're like, no, we shouldn't. Like, you never told us. It's like, well, then we have an inventory. Then you have, you know, it's like, well, which material should we be buying and how should we actually be doing it on site, you know, doing the day-to-day things. And my phone was blowing up and I was just the fireman nonstop. And then after, you know, rolling out, you know, your training and your systems and putting it into our business, what happened was, I don't know what, it was very, I think you mentioned it as well. It's like business is going to become very vanilla.
Yeah, and here's the funny part about that, Spyro, is when I used to preach to mine was a union shop. I don't know if union is the same term you guys
absolutely,
use.
Absolutely is.
So we had a lot of rules and regulations, but it didn't make the company run better. And I never got any staff that was trained out of the union. I got nothing but raw talent, and I had to train them myself. So that's why I got really good at it. But the reason that my team was excited about all of this is they hated waking up thinking that they're going off to work to do a good job. And then one of the 4 Levies show up and we go, well, that's not what we wanted. And that was based on what? It was all opinion. And it is the worst way to run your business. Now, I hope I stress this out. My business was formed out of my grandfather's gas station in 1936. So it wasn't like we weren't in business. And if you think because you're in business for a long time, you're going to figure it out, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I just mean to tell you in the best way possible, Time doesn't fix it. Even the growing of your business to a large size, if you don't have it under control, what you're doing is pouring gasoline on a fire that's out of control. So this myth you might have is, well, if I was, instead of $1 million, I was 5 million. If I'm instead of 5 million, I was 10 million or 50 million. That's not the answer. I worked with so many companies that had already gotten to 15 million or 30 or 40 million. And every time the phone rang, it wasn't a good thing. It was a bad thing because they couldn't handle it. Couldn't answer the phones right. They couldn't dispatch right. Techs didn't know what they needed to know, from the time they wake up to when they go to bed, plus the electrical work that they do. In our case, electrical, plumbing, heating, and cooling. So it was a lot to learn. But once you systematize it and once you train it on it, everybody is served better. Number one, your customers are served better. And guess what happens when they're served better? More money for you.
Yes, exactly.
More client satisfaction. And what you need is what I realized at the end. I learned to like to talk, and that's not who I was. I was a very shy man at 25. And my father, put me in sales. So you can imagine that was difficult. And so I learned how to, get to the point. But I thought sales, like all of us do when we're young, is talking and convincing people.
And saying the quality and the warranty and the compliance. But
yeah, and we just
doesn't sell.
Yeah. And we want to talk about the ohms and the capacitor and all the other stuff. And it's a language that they don't understand at all. But really, when I finally learned it, I wanted to impress you, Spyro. Look at how smart I am. Now, my sales were horrible because I didn't speak their English. I do have a tip that I want to give guys, though. Mm-hmm. One of the best words you can use is when you're trying to explain something technical is to use the word like. Mm. So this surge protector is like, something that would slow your car down if it's out of control so that you don't go off the road. Now, people have no idea how that works.
The surge protector is like the airbags of your home. You wouldn't buy exactly without airbags.
Yeah, exactly right. And now they understand it, or at least enough to get what you're talking about. And so, when we start talking about the neutrals and loose wires and the rest, we have to, I call that technicalese.
Yes.
And our job is to turn technicalese into plain English.
Well, I want to hold you on that for a second, Al, because so many technicians are like, I need more leads, right?
Yes.
But what comes first, sales or marketing?
I love that you asked that question because the great Ellen Rohr, and for
I met her the other day.
Here, yes, she is a dynamo. We met 30 years ago. She has not changed one bit, but she is the financial queen. So we used to work on jobs together as co-consultants. She was also my franchise partner in Zoom Drain. It's a nationwide drain franchise. And so she didn't drive. I did. We're going to a job and she'd be sitting in the passenger seat and she would ask me these crazy questions. So one day she said to me, Al, what comes first, sales or marketing? And instantly I said, sales. And she goes, well, if you don't have good marketing, the phone's not going to ring. You're going to go out of business. I said, if you can't sell to one ideal customer, how do you sell to 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 of them? And once you know how to sell and talk to that person and how they tick, your marketing becomes 1,000,000 times easier.
And more effective.
Yes. And my great mentor, who I talk about in the book, Leo, he said to me, say something to someone or risk saying nothing to everyone. Mm-hmm. So you might say, well, everybody can be my customer. And here's what I'm here to say. No, they're not. Not everybody is your customer. They have to value what you do, what you charge, what you know, what you can provide in value, the going the extra mile. Those are the things that really count. And at the end of this, whose words count in a sale? Yours or the customer? And the very simple answer to that is what I learned a long time ago is when you are talking on a call, you are selling. When you get them to talk, they are buying. And that is the whole goal. So my great friend, Dan Hollihan, who also knew me and Ellen, he was an industry giant. And he goes, Al, I look at your ads and look at what you talk, and it's, you're selling, and you're talking. And here's what you need to know. I semi-trust you. What I really want to know is who lives in a place near me, who looks like me, who had problems with blinking lights, and now they don't have that problem. They had a problem when they plugged in too many hair dryers. The fuse box blew, the circuit breaker box blew. You know what I mean? That's what they want to hear. If you want to do more electrical calls, get great at sales and getting testimonials and convert that into marketing, because you deploy it every different way today. Even in social media, the ads that I run in Facebook and the rest of it, you will see really good Facebook ads and great Tommy Mello of A1 Garage. Anyone who would know that. When I first walked in, he was 15 million in sales and losing money. Today, he's 350 million and making tons of money in profit.
$350 million.
$350 million nationwide. Yeah, it's just
insane.
Credit to him. He's just a dynamo, but he knew this is what he needed to do. And he took money out of his own pocket, Spyro, to bring me in.
Yeah, I know. And I was actually that was on one of my questions to bring up Tommy Mello, and I'm glad you said 350 million, because I've got written down in my notes over 200 million. So he's grown since I've last seen. Wow.
He's just blowing up in the best way possible. And that's because, when I first met him, he already knew how to make the phone ring. The problem was, again, he couldn't handle it. They literally had a full-time person whose only job was to put out all the customer nightmares that they had created, because they're all running around with their head chopped off, doing bad work in every place. The dirty secret for all of us as contractors is where we lose is callbacks. And what I mean is where you have to run back. A lot of people have different names for it, but I was here today because your lights are blinking, and tomorrow my lights better not be blinking because I paid you already. Or my GFCIs are working. They better be working, not working. Now they're working. And so whatever the problems that you're doing and they're solving, great. But the problem for most of us, especially when we get down to trying to train our techs, is most techs just want to fix stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the implication of asking enough good questions, writing down the answers, whether they use paper, whether they use their tablets, I don't care. Because the only words that count when you ask a good question is the words they use. Because when I make a presentation, I'm going to use that. And that feeds back a long way back to sales is what makes your marketing. The way I describe sales and marketing, it is two sides of the same coin. But if I had to choose, get great at sales and you'll automatically get better at marketing. Because then you can sit with any great marketing vendor and be able to explain, this is the customer I want. I want somebody who's 30 to 40 years old. They have a $200,000, base income. They both have good jobs and they want to not be bothered. And they just want the highest end things as long as they understand the value of what they're getting.
Absolutely. And what I love to touch on that with sales is a lot of people and a lot of contractors, when they hear the word sales, it's got like a negative connotation to it. Is sales I'm comfortable with the word sales because I don't think it's just because we profited doesn't mean they didn't benefit. It's got to be win-win. And what I want to know is what's your word? You can call it serving, call it solutions, sales. I'm comfortable with the word. What are your thoughts on the word sales?
Yeah, I know sales has always had this dirty connotation. That's why we weren't salespeople, the big ticket sales guys. We called them system engineers or system advisors. And so, because we're not allowed to be called salespeople, but my father, who was a very quiet guy, thought of himself as a salesman. That wasn't his only job, but because his idea about salesmen was they could have called 2,000 companies today and no one is going to serve them better than me. So he would sit there, he would ask great questions, open-ended questions. And for those who don't know, open-ended questions are designed for the customer to speak to you. So for instance, Spyro, when did you notice that when you keep plugging in these hair dryers that it pops out and you have an issue with it? When do you find that you just don't have enough, you want to add things to the house and you run out of room in the circuit breaker box? These are great questions that get you to talk.
When was the last time you had an electrician here? That's a great one.
Yeah. I also actually, I usually tell you that in my sales system, I call it the ethical sales system. And when I would get in front of companies I worked with typically 2 to 3 years when I was doing one-to-one, which I don't do anymore. My systems are online, but one of the programs I did was this ethical sales, and I would be in front of their techs teaching them sales. And so I did this. There's a day and a half worth of class. And what I would say to them is, in the middle of the thing, I go, I want you all to close your eyes. Now, I'm from New York, but I'm not going to steal your wallet. Close your eyes, and I'm going to say a word, and I want you to get an image in your head. Salesman, now open your eyes. And these are young kids who are 30 and under. Mm-hmm. Every one of them said, there's a used car guy dressed in a plaid suit selling me a car I don't want. And that is exactly the opposite of what a good salesperson is.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
They are well trained. So really what I told these guys is, this is called ethical sales for a reason. You don't have my permission to sell anything to anybody that's not in their best interest, and you haven't earned the right to put it on your menu or proposal, whatever you call it, a quote.
Yep.
So asking good questions is all about diagnosing the customer first, before you get busy diagnosing the problem.
Yeah.
Because you can diagnose the problem. You can even fix the problem. But if you leave a customer in the dark and they don't know what they've got and why they got it and why they paid for it, you're just looking at a dissatisfied customer, buyer's remorse, and everything bad that you do not want.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's equal service to equal transaction, right? So everybody wins, and you got to earn the right to present the price. You can't just go to the customer and be an order taker and say, oh, yep, this, done. Because that's where a lot of technicians go wrong, and a lot of even electrical business owners that are doing, say, less than like $1 million a year, right? A lot of them are just being order takers, and they say, I just need more leads. If I could get to 10 more jobs a day, well, I want to put it to you, Al. How many service calls should a good company run each and every day?
Well, so for me, a service tech, in my definition, is they're great at communications, which leads to great sales.
Yep.
They're neat and clean. They're dressed neat and clean. The truck is neat and clean. They come to the job. They have their floor covering. They make sure the area is clean when they leave. They follow all the procedures. So that's the operational. And technically, the lights are blinking. Tomorrow, they better not be blinking. The circuit breakers were popping. They better not be popping tomorrow. That's technical. So the three skill sets: sales, operation, technical. I believe if it's a day or less of work, the best person to sell it and do it is the service tech. Mm-hmm. Now, there is this new wave of the selling tech, where a guy is dressed like a tech and he just goes around, does an order taking, and then behind him comes an install team that does the work. I'm not saying that's wrong, and I understand there's a popularity to it, but unless they're really great at taking enough time with a customer to really know what they want, to really explain the features, advantage, and benefit, FAB, which is, they invented fire, Spyro, and then the very next thing they invented was FAB, features, advantage, and benefits. Nothing's more important. But they have to be really good at communicating to the team that's showing up. So that's what I call service. Most good companies in an 8-hour day, they're usually looking for 3 good leads, 2 of which they convert for whatever their average ticket is, $800 to $1,000, $1,200. Again, selling stuff that they want. Some companies are content with running 4 calls and converting 3. That's fine. But that's usually a very good ballpark for a service tech who sells and does it.
Absolutely.
Now, install is different. Somebody dressed a little better, like a field supervisor or a system advisor. They spend more time. They take more measurements. They take videos. They go in depth. They have more add-ons. They're selling the big ticket that's going to be a day or longer. And then when they sell that job, they've got it figured out with the material price, projected material price, projected labor, their commission, a spiff or a reward for the install team to bring the job in on time, on budget, no callback, and then the gross profit. So one of the clients that I worked with, he said to me, I get it, Al. I said, well, what do you get? He goes, if I don't bake it in the pie, it's not going to come out at the end of when it comes out of the oven. So you've got to add the ingredients that I just routed out. Now, they do have to turn it over to the install team. So they are leaving the shop knowing what they must do, what they must take with them, and how they have to bring this job in on time, on budget. And here's the other trick. Commission the job with the customer so they understand what was installed. Or otherwise, you're going to have to go over to your service department and drag somebody from there, which is a lost lead to you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I loved what you mentioned there as well, Al, which is 3 to 4 service calls a day. I like 4, convert 3, 1, because like you mentioned, not everyone is your ideal customer, and that is fine. Instead of them, sometimes techs beat themselves up and they say, oh, but they're a Peter customer, a pain in the ass customer or whatnot, right?
I'm glad to know that Peter made it to Australia.
It only made it to Australia from the members that we've got in the US. So they taught me it.
Yeah, because it's a very USA term, Peter. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe they'll start using some Aussie terms shortly. Because
I think the only one that we have is mate.
Mate, yeah. You guys say buddy.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
hey,
right.
bro.
That's right. But that's what I really want to emphasize, because I'm very big on a lot of contractors. They get fixated on this price which their previous employees may have charged. They get fixated on a price that their buddies are charging, right, as well. And it's normally going to be around $100 an hour, and it makes there's 100 or 100 and they go, oh, but I charge 120 now.
Well, there's two sides to this pricing thing, and it goes back to the days when Ellen and I were young and first flat rate pricing came around. And so I wasn't born enlightened, everyone who's listening. I got that because I have all the bumps and bruises to tell you I learned my lessons. But we used to buy a motor for $30. We used to pay you, Spyro, at $30, and we charge $100, and we go, well, there's $40 of pure profit here. And then made the mistake of actually going to the organization where I learned how to do budgeting. And then I didn't realize that I didn't account for the cost of the building, the insurance, the truck, the stock, the non-billable hours. There's just so much more. Mm-hmm. And as techs, if you don't train your techs, this is what I learned right away. I did this, so please bear with me. Mm-hmm. In 1994, we did our first budget and our first flat rate price, me and my brother Richie together. Mm-hmm. And it came out to $150 selling price. Back then,
when was this?
1994.
Okay. Hold up, everyone. 1994, $154 an hour selling price.
Yes. And so we did, the first thing we figured out was what a cost of a toilet would come out to. And it came out to $400. And my brother Richie says to me, well, do it again. And so I do the thing again, and it comes out to $400. And I looked at him and I go, there's relief here because not everybody's our customer anymore for this. And I knew right away, Spyro, there are 3 people that would call that would be our biggest problem. Family members, friends, and people from the house of worship. Mm-hmm. 3 customers. So I learned to say, Spyro, thank you so much for calling. Just want you to know we may be higher than some, and for that you need to know why. They've been trained and certified here. Nobody's coming there to learn out their job. They also follow a very specific procedure how to do the work. So we minimize callbacks, which means you'd be inconvenienced tomorrow. Mm-hmm. They're going to look everything over. They're going to check the whole system so we don't miss anything. They're going to quote you a price before we begin so you can choose what you want to do. They're going to cover the area, do an expert job, explain it to you, and then they're going to ask you before they leave, is it clean enough for you? Because if not, tell me and I'll make it whatever way you want. And then here's the other part. We'll come back if there's a problem with a smile on our face. You don't have to chase us. Mm-hmm. And so 99% of those people converted.
Yeah.
Because I learned how to do that. And then I actually moved it to the marketing, not just waiting for the calls to come in, but to explain that if you want to get great at marketing, one of the exercises when I taught marketing power to my clients is you should have 10 reasons to choose us.
Absolutely.
So my tip was, doesn't matter if Al comes or Spyro comes, we all follow the same manual. We all have the things, so we don't skip steps, minimize callbacks, which means you be inconvenienced. Number two is we're not coming to our house to learn how to fix your stuff today. We've been trained and certified in this own in-house training center, which we go through extensive training. We also offer a leading warranty that's longer than anyone else. And the reason we can is because of the quality of the stuff we use, but the way we do our work allows us to do that. So I just had 10 things to rattle off. And then I even taught guys that it was taking them too long to do 10 things. So I said, there's a list of 10 things that we have it on our website, and I'm happy to share with you.
Yep.
May I share 3 reasons why you made the right call to us today? And then, so you can really get good at this.
Absolutely. And what is amazing there as well, you were able to get your techs on board as well. So I think as well, and when your brother said to you, do it again, and you found out the numbers don't lie. So, that's the price. And that was, going back, around 30 years ago, right? And there are guys still charging less than that today. And they're going to say to you right now, Al, I already know what they're going to say, but you're in Long Island, you're in New York.
Yeah, they're all rich. No, they're not. We had the richest. We had the richest to the poorest, and they were separated by blocks.
Yeah,
we served them all.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we were very clear about is we don't get to judge anybody, no matter if they're rich or poor. Our job is to protect them from other contractors who will never do the work as well as us, who are not ethical. That's why it's a good thing for them that they called us.
And don't assume that they don't have the money. Just because their house might look a certain way.
Exactly right.
Doesn't mean they're not willing to not invest in your service, right?
Yeah, you owe that to people. Actually, I remember we put shoe covers on, so we don't track into your house. And so a lot of guys thought, well, the house is a mess, I don't have to put it on. And I go, no, because when you do it and do it always, so it's a habit, the people who are embarrassed maybe by their rugs or carpets and the rest of it, they will appreciate it 100 times more that you didn't prejudge them. If you and I are in a restaurant, at a nice fancy restaurant, and you're wearing blue jeans and I'm all dressed up, what does the waiter do? Look at me and say, oh, you can have steak, and look at you and go, oh, you can have a hamburger. That's not their choice. They give us the menu. We make the choice.
It's the same with sales, right, as well. It's up to the customer at the end of the day. There's no pressure tactics. It's all ethical. If it's not going to benefit them, don't offer it. And the great thing is... And
earn the right to put it in there. I am here. I know you've been on the internet. I know you watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And I'm not saying no, I never negate that. But I know I have a bag full of imaginary solutions, and all I'm doing when I do a visual inspection is making a note of it, because I now see the boxes. They added a second box to it because they ran out of room, and that's not really good. The grounding is bad. I already see that as a problem, because the better you're trained, the more your eyes are open. And I remember I was out doing a sales one-to-one with a client's tech, and he said to me, Al, I really know it's important to sell stuff. I go, no, it's not important to sell stuff. It's important to serve customers. He goes, but I don't know what to recommend. And I go, well, we're in an 8x5 room. I'm going to give you 5 things off the top of my head right now that I see are wrong. And it would happen to be a heating job. The thing that separated the air was wrong. This is wrong. So is it my sales skills? Is it my technical skills? Is it my operational skills? It's all 3 of those. That allow me. Don't go into a job with blindfolders on. That is not your job. Your job is to take the blindfolder off and ask them. So if you go and a customer gives you permission to do a survey, if you came into my house right here now, I'm working in my world headquarters.
Yes.
I have $15,000 in electronic equipment here. And if you want to talk to me about surge protection and something else, my answer is yes. If you see my boxes jammed up, which I just replaced, by the way, with a great contractor who lives here, who, by the way, has all of my programs, because I wouldn't use anybody else. We pulled the box out, changed everything else around. It was done 40 years ago. I live in Arizona. We're not short of heat. So, the wires. We know that. Be aware you are there to protect themselves from themselves. Not because you're stupid. And just like I don't know other subjects, I'm I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your doctor. I'm not any of that stuff, but I am good at, I would say I'm really good at everything that I ever recommended.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I know you're good at systems.
Absolutely. They bought me, and they bought my confidence. And then I showed them customers that looked just like them.
Yep.
We have time to share what a little bit of testimonial. I know we're kind of
absolutely. Go for it. Yeah. Definitely.
So here's the question I want you all to think about. Can I ever have too many testimonials? No. You can never have enough testimonials. Now, today it's more visual. Yep. I need video. It used to be where you just had a still shot. So you need to get permission from the ideal customers. It's more about the people, not the equipment. You can take pictures of equipment all day and people are going to nod their head and they'll go, I don't know what that is. They're only looking from the customer. And so what I call the 3 types of testimonials is a great product or service you gave, like surge protection or breaking up the circuitry or changing the board or getting rid of, in our case in America, aluminum wiring, which is very dangerous. Yeah, so those are things they're bragging on, a service or product that made their life safer, better, saved them money. The second one is I had company coming over. We were having a big Christmas dinner. We had no lights, popped a few, circuit breaker, and we were worried that nobody would call. We called them. They were out here in an hour. Everything was fixed. We'd never think of using anyone other than a house company. Mm-hmm. And home run is the great product and service and how much they love you. That's the third type of testimonial. So absolutely. The really good people that I've coached on this, they pretty much have their techs just about every call asking the customer, can I do it? Do a testimonial. And there's a garage door doctor, Cody. They're phenomenal, but they're only one that comes to mind. Garage door doctor in Houston, if you want to look it up. They just got a ton of them. I would actually, when I would come and be the system advisor and even the service tech, I would set the expectation when I said, thank you, Spyro, for letting me have the opportunity to be here today to serve your home or to give a price on the job. I just want you to know the way I work is I want to have testimonial from you just like these. Mm-hmm. That's the way I'm going to serve here today. And if I do an expert job and you love it, what I'm going to seek from you when I come back in a week or two, if it's a big job, make sure everything is working the way I promised you it would. Would you be willing to do a testimonial? Because that's what I'm after. Well, this already sets the bar higher. Do you see it?
Absolutely. And that's that level of service, right? Like most contractors can't afford to go back to serve them more, right?
Because they haven't charged enough money.
That's right.
So I was, as you can tell from this, hopefully, I was great at sales and marketing. And my team was really blowing them up.
Yes.
And so that's why I became so much about the org charts and manuals, which you described.
Yep.
That's also why I decided to train my techs, take willing apprentices with no skills to willing techs with great skills.
What if they're millennials, though? Or how about if they're the younger generation?
Millennials are some of the best techs I have ever trained nationwide.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be saying, what? They don't listen. They're on their...
They don't listen. They're on their phone. So wrong. Here's what I will tell you the difference. I'm a baby boomer. Our generation grew up when the boss would talk to us. The boss was basically saying, do it because I said so.
Yeah.
Millennials and every generation after that are not going to do anything just because you said so. They want to know the why. They want to know why they're doing this. What's the reason for it? And then they want to know they're with them. What's in it for me? And I even told my guys 30 years ago, I want you to be as selfish as you want to be for yourself. And then you have to tell me, how is that good for the customer? Mm-hmm. Because if it is, then we can make it happen.
Absolutely. I love that. And it all comes down to training and educating as well, and why we have this system, why we actually charged out, and actually show the technicians, because the technicians, you can't afford, like in this day and age, the way I look at it is, everything's gone up. You know what I mean?
I know that's a pretty good answer when they go, well, that's a little more than I thought. And I go, yeah, things are, more expensive than you want today.
Yeah.
What do you think? And just kind of turn them back. So learning how to handle price objection. Yeah, it's really important. But the best, believe it or not, some of the best people that we trained who had great sales and great client satisfaction weren't salespeople. They followed the 5 steps, how to open the call, how to, get the permission to survey, how to come back and present a menu, how to get the job, and how to go through the exit process. They were just really good at it. They were freed up because they knew there was just 5 steps they had to follow. But really, it was because they had already learned how to sell us and do it in our own hands-on training center. So when they got out in the field, they weren't thrown for a loop.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Al, I know we're getting to time now, and you're busy.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you coming on here as well. So I'll land the plane with this. And actually, before I land the plane, was there any closing statements or anything that you wanted to mention as well before we finish up?
Yeah, I think a good place to start, and not because I need your money, because Amazon takes it all, but it's the number 7 power contractor. There's a paperback, but the good news, it's also in Audible, because who doesn't want to listen to this voice? It's very short. I did it on purpose. I have 100 times more material than that. But it's a really good foundation. Think of your company. Most people have scaled it. They never put a system under it. So that's like building a house on bad ground. That doesn't make sense. So what we need is a foundation, and the 7 powers that I'm talking about: planning, operations, staffing, sales coaching, marketing, and finance. Think of that as your foundation. And then you can go and make your company as big as you want or whatever you want, and you'll have a much more, get your life back.
Absolutely. And I've listened to it. I've listened to it on Audible. Big fan of the 7 Power Contracts. It's a fantastic listen or read if that's your choice. I'm a listener more than a reader myself, and it's a fantastic Audible book.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. And then there are programs that you obviously know about that has the org charts and the manuals that cover it, so that we become systematic, so that 1 tech, 10 trucks, 100 techs can go to a job and pretty much do the same performance. That's really where you start to rock and roll. And then the part is you take on staffing, where you are training them, so you know that they can do it. Now they have to prove it in the field, because if not, they have the right to do the following thing. Hey, got a minute? I'll hit you up by text. I'll hit you by Slack. I'll keep you busy all day answering stupid questions that you answered yesterday and the day before and forever.
Yes, exactly right. So your business has to run not on staff's know-how, but have to run on systems. And I heard an analogy that you've used on a previous podcast, which I really like the analogy of the race. I don't know if you remember the race car analogy. So I would love for you to sort of share that, because too many guys are saying, and what I see is a lot of, we're training technicians to do this, but I think a lot of the time it's it's actually the head contractors, the business owners. They're stuck in their own way, and they need to sometimes just look at the mirror and do a bit.
I know exactly where you're going. So I'm going to bring this home and land the plane, as you said.
Yep.
What got in my way? Be aware, the way you rise up in a company is because you're the go-to last stop guy, right? Everybody else has failed. You're it. And it's because you have these talents. But part of it is because you're a perfectionist, and that's good. But it's also bad, because if you're going to demand perfection, no one else is going to follow. And number 2 is, if you make perfection, you're just going to make things bigger and bigger, and then nobody can jump over that hurdle. So it's a waste of time and energy. And the way I describe it, what Spyro's talking to, is while you're busy building your perfect race car, I'm on the track and the checkered flag's coming down, and I won the race. So stop it.
It's already been built. Take his race car.
Take this race car and go win.
Yeah. And this race car will perform no matter where you are in the world, as long as there's humans there. There's a track
Australia,
there.
New Zealand, the United States, Canada, the UK, and South Africa.
It's the same race car, same system.
Same race car.
I love that.
Love
that, Al. Well, I really appreciate it. I'm going to put in the show notes exactly where to find Al. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to reach out anytime. And super pumped and I'm forever grateful for how you've helped myself as well, and being a mentor in my electrical business. And yeah, I love seeing everything that you're doing, Al. You're doing great things.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate you. Thank you. I'll let you go now.